If you need any Xbox or PlayStation codes or any cheap PC games, use the referral link in the description. It will take you over to g2a.com. They already have a discount on most of their goods, and if you use the code CHES at checkout, you can get yourself an extra 3% off as well. Hey guys, how's it going? Chez back again, and welcome back to another episode of this little Transfer Budgets mini-series we've been doing. We've done the Bundesliga and the Barclays Premier League so far. If you want to see the Bundesliga video, I'll leave a link to it in the bottom left-hand side of your screen, or alternatively, feel free to check the channel page for that video, or the Barclays Premier League Transfer Budgets video we did earlier on in the week. And obviously, there's been episodes of the Chelsea Career Mode, My Player and Wolfsburg series go up already this week. We'll have My Player at midday today. We'll have the Serie A Transfer Budgets video this afternoon added in as well. And obviously episode 2 of the Wolfsburg Career Mode series at 8 PM this evening. If you don't know what and when I upload, check the description of any video or the About tab on the channel page, and it will show you my my upload schedule. So feel free to do that. Obviously, if you enjoy this episode, then let me know in the comment section which side you might be doing in Spanish Career Mode, and drop the video a like as well if you enjoy. Of course, subscribe if you haven't already for more Career Mode content. But we start with Athletic Bilbao. They finished 7th in the league last year. They don't have the best squad in the league, but they have a good enough squad to be able to challenge for European competition. I think they finished 4th the year before last. I might be mistaken, but I know they definitely were pushing for Champions League football the year before last. And obviously they've got Adariz, Munayin and Susaeta as their front three there. Adariz doesn't have the best pace, but he's an absolute demon in the air, and obviously played very, very well against Barcelona in the Spanish Super Cup earlier on this year. So they do have a decent squad. £8.5 million isn't the best of budgets, but it's enough to be able to improve. Obviously, if you wanted to drastically improve your budget at Athletic, you could sell Aymeric Laporte, who's probably their best player, at least most valuable player, due to his current ability and age and potential. But obviously, you might want to keep Laporte at the club, considering he's your best player with the highest rating and the best potential. It's up to you. But moving on, we have Atletico Madrid, obviously, quote unquote, the third best team in La Liga. They did finish third last year, but obviously the year before that, they were able to win La Liga. So it's arguable where they sit in terms of the top three in La Liga these days. They have been very strong the past few years under Diego Simeone, have strengthened a lot in the recent transfer window in real life. Obviously bought Felipe Luis back from Chelsea. They brought in Jackson Martinez. They've also brought in Luciano Vietto from Villarreal, and a couple of other players as well, including Stefan Savic from Fiorentina, with Mario Suarez going the other way. And they still have a big budget of £43 million to spend. I'm actually using Atletico live on stream on my Twitch channel. If you want to go and follow the Twitch channel, there'll be a link to it down below in the description, as well as all of my other social media sites if you want to follow me there. But I stream every single evening at 8:45 PM GMT, which is obviously in the UK. So if you want to watch me stream Atletico, then feel free to check the Twitch channel, and you can follow me there and watch me live, or check the past broadcast section and be able to catch up on any streams you may have missed. But Atleti, obviously a very strong side, and I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into that career mode. We've streamed it twice already, and we'll be doing so again later on tonight. Celta Vigo actually had a decent season last year. Finished 8th in La Liga. Nolito is probably their best player, that left winger there, although Iago Aspas is actually a decent striker. Didn't really do it at Liverpool, but in Spain, he's been scoring a few goals, and Nolito is a very, very good winger as far as I'm concerned. One of the best players that they have at the club, although a £5 million budget isn't necessarily going to help you improve much. So you may need to sell someone like Nolito if you wanted to strengthen in a number of places. But for me, I'd keep Nolito if you were doing a career mode at Celta Vigo. Moving on, we've got Barcelona, of course, won the league last year. In fact, did the treble, winning the Champions League, La Liga and the Copa del Rey. Obviously got the best front three in world football, probably the best starting 11 in La Liga. Perhaps you'd say Real Madrid have the best squad in La Liga, but Barca definitely, as far as I'm concerned, have the best starting 11, with £72 million ready there to be spent as well. You should really be looking to do the treble again if you decide to start as Barcelona. There's not really much else I can say about Barca, is there? Obviously, they've brought in Arda Turan and Alex Vidal to add to that squad, but with £72 million, you might be spending even more of that and bringing in even more players in those positions or in alternative positions as well. Such a good team there for Barcelona, and a lot of money to spend as well. Equally, going from one end of the spectrum to the other, down at the bottom end, is £4.5 million for Getafe. They had an okay season. They finished 15th overall in La Liga last year, which is it's disappointing for them. They did lose 21 games, in fact, last year, which is more than the two sides that finished below them. So they did well to stay up, in fairness. But obviously, a few years ago, they used to have Roberto Soldado banging in the goals at Getafe before he moved on to Valencia. But for now, they have to rely on Alvaro up top. Pedro Leon is a decent midfielder, though, as is Alexis at the back, centre-back-wise. But really not the most impressive of teams. They've got a decent goalkeeper though in Waita. He used to play for Valencia, whereas obviously Soldado left Getafe to go the other way to Valencia. But moving on, we've got Granada. They finished 17th last year and only stayed up on head-to-head ahead of Eibar, although actually Eibar got a reprieve thanks to the financial troubles of Elche, which we'll get onto in a moment. But £4.4 million is the budget for Granada. I don't know anything about their side, to be completely honest. Pitti is a decent winger, and that's about as much as I know, unfortunately. I'm really not that knowledgeable about Granada. I apologise, but £4.4 million isn't the best of budgets either, to be completely honest. Neither is the £4.7 million for Levante. They finished 14th last year. A couple of years ago, they had a really strong season thanks to the goals of Aruna Kone, and they were able to finish 5th, I believe, in the end in La Liga. But right now, the squad doesn't look very strong at all, and only £4.7 million to spend. They too, similar with Getafe and Granada, will probably struggle this year in real life, and you'd probably struggle to do well with them on career mode as well. Malaga had all of the money and then lost all of the money. They've got £5 million as a transfer budget right now. They finished 9th last year, which is pretty much solidly mid-table. Carlos Kamini in goal is a very good goalkeeper. I highly rate him. Wellington has been their rock at the back, at centre-back for a while now. Camacho is a decent holding mid. Duda is obviously getting on a little bit now, but is a decent player at Cam. And Amrabat actually has been transferred, or not transferred, but he's had a position change from out wide to up top. And he actually looks like a very strong striker card on Ultimate Team this year, so he will probably be your go-to for goals in that side, although Charles would have something to say about that. Only £5 million to spend though, not much potential there at Malaga. A couple of ageing players as well, including Artur Boca at left back. He's obviously in his early 30s. Wellington is getting on. Duda's in his mid-30s, so the squad needs a lot of work, and obviously with only £5 million you probably wouldn't be able to do much work with that. The third side in Madrid is Rayo Vallecano. They had a strong year last year and were actually able to finish 11th overall for one of the smallest sides in the division. Only a £2.9 million budget though. Obviously you've got Minuto up top to try and get the ball into the back of the net. Tresoras and Baena are actually decent midfielders, to be completely honest, and Bangura obviously has a lot of pace, and Eibar used to play in the Bundesliga, the German midfielder, but now plays for Vallecano here in Spain. Other than that, I don't really know much about their side, unfortunately. Nacho's got a lot of pace at left back, but I don't know how strong he is defensively, and it would be a real test to improve that squad with such a small budget, as it would be with Deport as well. They were able to stay up last year, finishing in 16th. They too stayed up above Eibar in 18th on the head-to-head, although again, that had they finished lower, they would have got the reprieve thanks to, again, the financial difficulties of Elche. So £3.7 million is the budget for Depor. An average squad, perhaps even a below average squad, a very small transfer budget, tough season ahead for them. Espanyol can actually, they're a decent side. They always threaten to have a strong season and then kind of tail off and end up finishing mid-table, which is where they came last year, 10th. Obviously, they're the second side in Barcelona. Felipe Caicedo is their main striker, and they play kind of either a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-5-1, but they're not the strongest of squads. They just kind of have a good team ethic. And they just kind of almost like, not in recent times, but in like the past 10 years or so, almost like an Aston Villa or something. You know, they're always mid-table, never really doing anything towards the top, never really being threatened with relegation if you ignore the Martin O'Neill years and then obviously the recent years where they've been threatened with a relegation. Other than that, they've just been solidly mid-table, Aston Villa, and Espanyol are kind of that same sort of side in La Liga. Real Betis came up last year. They were relegated the year before, came up last year after winning the Segunda Division in Liga Adelante by 2 points ahead of Sporting Gijon or Real Sporting, whichever you want to call them. And they actually have a very old, but also still very capable Rafael van der Vaart in their side. Obviously, Ruben Castro is going to be the main striker for them. Bangs in the goals, has been absolutely incredible for them for the past few years. They managed to finish 5th the year before they got relegated somehow. Don't really know how, but they've only got a small budget. They should be able to stay up, though. They are a capable side, and still with Castro up top, you'll be able to bang some goals in. So they're a decent side to be able to take. You should be able to finish mid-table with them and then hopefully improve from there. Also having a £72 million budget, similar to Real Madrid. Similar to Real Madrid, they are Real Madrid. Similar to Barcelona, is Real Madrid. Obviously, they weren't able to get David De Gea in the transfer window just gone, but they were able to get some business done, and obviously Toni Kroos, Modric, Bale and Ronaldo and James Rodriguez is quite the midfield five. They have the strongest squad, in my opinion, in the league as well, with obviously Mateo Kovacic coming in this year. He's going to be such a good player when he develops over the next couple of years, and obviously being Croatian and having Luka Modric at the club as well will hopefully, for his sake, settle quite quickly in Spain. And obviously with £72 million to spend, you can go out and buy anybody else you want as well. Real Sociedad are obviously under the tutelage of David Moyes right now. A couple of really strong years before last year where they actually finished 12th. They were really poor, and then David Moyes took over and actually helped them solidify. Obviously, Carlos Vela is still a strong player for them. They've got Ilya Mendy. I'm not sure whether he's on loan from Real Madrid or whether that's a permanent. You'll have to let me know in the chat. In Twitch mode, in the comments section. I'm not sure. They've got Bruma, though, from previously of Galatasaray. He is absolutely rapid, Bruma. They've still got Inigo Martinez as well at centre-back. Obviously, they lost Antoine Griezmann a year before last, but only 6.5 million to spend isn't the best, so you may have to sell on someone like Carlos Vela or Inigo Martinez to be able to properly strengthen. They definitely need a striker as well. They are desperate for a striker, as far as I'm concerned. Eibar was so lucky last year. They finished in the relegation zone, but got a reprieve, as we've mentioned numerous times now, thanks to the financial difficulties of Elche. Only a £1.4 million budget for them. They're such a tiny side. If you compare them to sides in England, they'd probably be of a similar sort of size as teams at the bottom end of League Two. There are probably sides in the conference, in the National Conference, in the fifth tier of England that are of a bigger size than Eibar. So that just kind of gives you the a scale reference for how small a side they actually are. But fair play to them. They got themselves into La Liga, and by the skin of their teeth, fortunately, were able to stay there. Although what you'd be able to do with them in career mode, I really don't know. Sevilla are a very strong side. Obviously, have won the Europa League in back-to-back seasons now. They have lost Carlos Bacca, though. He's gone on to AC Milan, of course, but they've been able to bring in Fernando Llorente from Juventus, and obviously have been able to hold on to players like Krychowiak in the midfield and Ava Banega, etc. Juan Antonio? Is it Juan Antonio? Jose Reyes. Juan Antonio Reyes? Jose Antonio Reyes. There you go. Jose Antonio Reyes out wide with Vitolo. They're a decent side. They're a very strong side. They've got Adil Rami. You remember him from his Valencia days. Obviously, he went to AC Milan, has now come to Sevilla. I don't know whether he was part of the Carlos Bacca deal. He may have been. You'll have to let me know. And obviously, Tremolinas at left back is formerly of Bordeaux in the French leagues as well. Always used to get an inform in Liga for Bordeaux year upon year, an ultimate team. But a big transfer budget of £25 million. You can definitely do some work with Sevilla. You could even threaten to get into the top three, maybe ahead of Atleti, if you had a decent enough season. Real Sporting or Sporting Gijon were able to come second in Liga Adelante last season, get themselves promoted, and with only a £2 million budget, though, it is going to be hard for them to stay up, and I don't know anything about that squad, I'll be completely honest, but they are a small side. They've been yo-yoing the past few years. They'll stay up, they'll go down, they'll come back up again. But for now, they're in La Liga, and maybe with your help, they could stay in La Liga. Las Palmas were the third and final side to get promoted out of Liga Adelante. They came up via the playoffs, actually finishing fourth last year. £2.5 million budget for them. Again, I don't know anything about that side, unfortunately. But with a small budget, again, you would presume, judging by the overall ratings, it would be difficult to keep them up. But Valencia, they've had an impact or an influx of money over the past season or so, thanks to, I think it's a Russian investor. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they've got a Russian investor now. They've obviously brought in Ryan, is it Matt Ryan from Club Brugge, the Australian goalkeeper. They've got Mustafi still at centre-back. They lost, obviously, Nicolas Otamendi to Manchester City, but they have brought in Ayman Abdennour from Monaco, who's a very, very solid centre-back. You've still got Javi Fuego and Danny Parejo in the midfield, with Rodrigo, Negredo and Piatti up top. They've made a couple of very astute signings for Valencia this transfer window, and obviously with 50 million to spend, that's a big budget. 50 million, that's more at Valencia than you have at Atleti to spend, although arguably Atleti have the better overall squad. But still, Valencia, very strong side, and you should be pushing for Champions League qualification, maybe even the latter stages of the Champions League, and a Copa del Rey charge as well with that squad and that budget. And then the the last side is Villarreal. £7 million is their budget. They finished 6th last year. They always come around about 4th to 7th, Villarreal, although obviously under Manuel Pellegrini, when he was at Villarreal, they were able to go all the way in the Champions League to the semi-finals, was it, I believe, of the Champions League that one year. They've sold They've sold Giovanni Dos Santos. There we go. Well done, brain. They've sold Giovanni Dos Santos to LA Galaxy, and they've also let Carluce go to Tigres as well. So they've brought in Roberto Soldado. Leo Baptistel's come in on loan from Atleti. Jonathan Dos Santos this year, unfortunately, for his ultimate team card side of things, is actually a right mid this year, which kind of ruins that card. As a holding mid or a centre mid, he's actually a very, very good player, although obviously in career mode it's not too much of a problem because you can move them around and it's not, like relying on chemistry to keep a player in a certain position. They have an okay squad. £7 million isn't the biggest though to try and improve it. You would have thought they would have had more considering the players they sold this window. Do still have Matteo Masaccio though, obviously a centre back as well, and he'll be a strong player for you if you decide to select Villarreal. But they're a decent team and you should be able to get Europa League football with them. But that's going to bring this episode to a close, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Drop the video a like if you enjoyed. Of course, subscribe if you haven't already. Check the channel page for anything you may have missed. There'll be My Player at 12, Serie A budgets at probably 3 or 4 p.m. this afternoon, and then obviously episode 2 of the Wolfsburg career mode at 8 p.m. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.